And what is your department?
I'm in the IT department.
Okay, what's the difference
So,
between IT and computer science in this program?
uh, um, so computer science mainly focuses on maths, and the major programs under each department is different. Like in IT, we have information security, business tech, but under computer science, we have software engineering. So it's just the major programs that are different. And so with the different majoring programs, we have different subjects under each major. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's about it. Um, yeah.
Okay. So how many students in your class?
Students, I think on average, they're about
How
40,
many students in your class?
maximum 40. And it also depends on the availability of the lecturers for each
How many
subject.
students in your class?
So, because our university, we use this self-registration of our subjects. So all the students, they choose their own subjects for every semester. The university gives a kind of a guide on for every semester what the students should take for the semesters, and we have to fulfill a few subjects in order to graduate.
Okay.
Yeah.
When do we start?
They're still trying to figure out the YouTube live, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, because we're blasting this program outside of our university as well. So we have to
Oh,
make sure that people outside the university has access to this program.
hmm. So you're looking at your university. The campus looks beautiful.
I'm sorry, I didn't
I'm looking at
really.
some of the pictures of your university. The campus
Oh, I
looks
see.
beautiful.
Oh, thank you. We
Yeah.
we have like Islamic architectures
Yes.
embedded. Yeah. So
Wonderful.
like our masjid is kind of like the center of the campus.
Mm, yes. I'll have
All
to
right.
visit sometime.
So it's yeah, you could. Okay, so we can start now. All right.
Okay.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. All right. Yeah, we're starting. Okay. So assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good evening everyone. Before we start, let's open our session with Surah Al-Fatiha. All right, so hopefully all the participants here can hear my voice loud and clear. Before we start, here's a gentle reminder for IIUM students to not forget to fill in the registration form. Okay. All right. So welcome to the virtual industry webinar organized by the ICT Students Society of International Islamic University Malaysia, IIUM. My name is Ayuni Jasmine, and I will be your host for tonight's program. Our guest speaker for today is Dr. Shahadat Khan. Uh, we're calling him Dr. Khan today. All right. He is the CEO of Progoti Systems, the company behind SureCash, one of the fastest growing financial technology services in Bangladesh. Okay, we are fortunate to have him with us today to share some of his valuable insights with our students and also participants. So before we go into the main agenda, Doctor, do you have any introductory words for the
Well,
for tonight?
first of all, thank you very much. I appreciate the invitation from IIUM, and thank you for having me in this very important webinar. It's an pleasure and honor to be in this session today with all these young people.
All right. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for your kind words. So let's just delve into the discussion if you don't mind. Okay, so we have a
Sure.
few topics for tonight. So the first topic that I would like to focus on is the gap between the education system and also the industry's requirements in the IT industry. So, right, so nowadays, if you've noticed, the unemployment rate among our youth especially, it's kind of rising, right? So in and meanwhile the IT industry itself is facing kind of a shortage of skilled workers. So a lot of experts, they concluded that there must be a gap between graduates and also the industry's requirements. uh, I would like to kind of see your view on this whole issue, if you also believe that there is a gap or if you don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I so I had some notes today, and I thought this question was coming a little later,
Oh,
but
I'm sorry.
no, it's okay. It's okay. So
Okay.
yes. So I think maybe to answer this question and to set the tone for today's discussion, I
Hmm.
think I would like to kind of use a video like all the young people today use. I'm sure the young people that
Yeah.
use video and other content all the time. So there's one video that I would like everybody to see, and I maybe some of you have seen it, but this will be a very interesting video, and it has kind of part of your answer. So I kind of knew what question you will be asking. So let's see the video, and then we can start the discussion from there
Oh,
if
sure.
you like.
Okay.
Sound is missing from the video. There's a sound.
Yeah. Yeah, the sound is missing, right?
Yes, then the only half of the fun if sound is missing.
Yeah, there's no sound. Let's try fixing this.
So we're currently preparing students for jobs that didn't exist, using technologies that have not been invented in order to solve problems we don't even know are problems yet. So you can see people are changing jobs quite a bit. A lot of people are meeting other people online. We all know Facebook is big. Can you speak 70 languages?
At most two.
Hmm. Did
Um,
you,
I
did you
think,
lose it?
yeah, I think there's been a technical problem. Let's see if they can try
Okay. Oh, they will try
sharing
to
it
fix
again.
the sound. Okay. So
Yeah.
yeah, to maybe let me go back to your answer. So see, industry versus university, you said, okay, well, we are looking for people to hire, and then there is unemployment. I think that difference was always there. So this is not a new thing. We always talk about it, and it's always there. There will always be some gap in what we teach and what industry wants. If you look at the purpose of university is not always preparing people for the industry. The purpose of industry is to educate people and to teach them the what they need to understand and learn, and then most of those are helpful and useful in the industry. But once you go to the industry, industry may have their own need. So are we trying the video again? Okay, let's do the video.
Okay. Yeah, and then you can try.
Oh, very good. Now we can hear sound. Okay, thank you. So did you see this video earlier?
Not yet.
No, you did
That was
not.
my first time seeing
Okay.
it. Yeah.
So there's a lot of mind-boggling information in that, right? So what's the most interesting information that you have received in this video?
I think it's um the how the growth it just skyrocketed exponentially in just such a short time. There's a lot of
Exactly.
yeah,
So much changing. Like the
yeah.
only things is kind of we are exponential growth. So change is the only thing. And if you look at some of these numbers, like China, the #1 English-speaking country,
Mm-hmm.
India has more honors kids than kids in the US. And you
Yeah.
asked about these jobs thing. So you see about the jobs, it's saying we are preparing for jobs using technologies that's not there, and for jobs to solve problems that we do not know are problems. So then what does the university do then? Like you see, I think it's
Mhm.
sometimes we say, okay, in industry, preparing for industry, yes, that's one purpose. But I think if you go to fundamentals in the university, our job is to sort of learn learn how to learn,
Mm-hmm.
how to think, and how to create. See, learning, okay, of course, there are a few things the university will teach you. But then when you want to learn something, then you can always go to Google, right? Always go to the digital content around and learn from that. So learning is important, but I think more important is how to learn. And then once you
Um,
learn, it's very important to actually know how to think. You see, learning is, whatever knowledge is available today, but how to think will give you the capacity to solve new problems, right? Which you don't know. Nobody will teach you about new problems. And
mhm.
then how to create. That's even more interesting. You see, so to create means you create something that's not there. It's like an artist, right? You create something. So I know you are a science student, but I'm saying think like an artist, and to create like an artist. So when you can mix this, then you are ready. And that's the job of the university. Now, when you come to the industry actually need all these skills of learning, thinking, and creating. And there will always be some gap because some industry needs some very specific things, but then you can learn it in the job. That's okay. That's the human brain, right? You learn all the time. Okay.
Yes. Okay. So is that all right? So this would highly relate to the some of the other questions where it's asking about how most students they don't really focus on everything that is taught in class. Usually when we finish our lessons in class, we would go to other resources like YouTube. Most of us nowadays we would go for YouTube to learn extra to learn more than what is taught in class. So it relates a lot to your answer just now, Doctor. Um, so the question here now that we know the university is not exactly preparing us because of the exponentially growing industry, not just in the IT and computer science, right? So, do they still play a role on adapting to this? Ah, do you,
Yes,
yeah,
big time, big time. Um, University has some structure, right? What when you are saying what does university teach you? For me, um, I have learned a lot in the universities, but most of it is outside the class. Okay, so you see, but classes very important. Without the classes, I wouldn't be able to learn. So then, how come that classes were helpful, but that's not where we learn the most? So classes are good places for the teachers to ask questions, and then we go out, find the answers. I think that's what should be the classes. Classes are good places where maybe you meet your friends, and then you go and you study with your friends, and that's when you learn. Well, when you are talking to each other, say, well, I don't understand this. Oh no, you say I have different opinion. That's when we learn. When human brains, the students collaborate, right? You see, in my university life, long ago, that's where I found the most learning is. So universities still will play a very important role. I saw your university campus. It's a beautiful campus. When you roam around there and you have your friends and you have your classes, I think it's the total experience of learning and thinking. And learning is not only about books, like what teachers teach you. Learning is about books, your social skills, or how you communicate, and as I mentioned earlier, it's about learning, thinking, and creating the whole experience. So I think from that point of view, universities still are the best places to learn. Universities, we need more of them, not fewer of them. But again, learning is much bigger than universities.
I see. So at the end of the day, I think it's more on the skills that we acquire from like having discussions and group projects and whatnot. And because even for like group projects and classes, we still have to refer to outside resources. So at the end of the day, as students, we don't have to limit ourselves to what we learn in class only. Is that right?
Yes. So once again, what you learn in the class, see, learning is a total thing. So if you spend 1 hour in the class, maybe if you spend say 10 hours of learning per day, maybe 5 hours in the class will give you a lot of learning, and then other 5 hours will give you other learning. And classes help you, since you have a large class of maybe 30-40 students. They give you a group learning experience. So okay, well, they give you a guideline, they give you some syllabus, teachers teach you certain essential things. Their idea is to cover the main material, right? And then the teachers are more like professors are more like helpers, right? They point you to certain things. Teachers cannot teach, really. It's the learners who learn. So teachers put the information and knowledge and the questions and the in front of you, and then it's the learner's experience of how I interact with it that I learn. Of course, some people learn in the class, some people learn outside, using other resources. Well, you see, if you are seeing the teacher, well, you learn something. You see another teacher online course, you learn some more because this teacher used different words. Now, if you heard same thing from 2 people, you learn better. And then there are some questions, and then you talk to your friends, and then they ask questions to each other. And you see, in my student life, in my university undergrad life, I learned most from my friends, because there were some very good friends, and they were always asking a lot of questions. Sometimes I didn't ask questions, but sometimes they asked me questions. I had to answer them. And then I asked questions. They have to answer them. And that's when you're learning. Everybody's learning go up. So I think the professors do a very good job of laying out the general platform of what material you should be learning. So I think if they just teach the questions, I think that's good enough. Because if you know what to learn, then you can go learn at your own pace.
I see. All right. Okay. So so then the whole question about universities, it leads to another kind of issue where there has been some kind of stereotypes on different kinds of universities, like technical and vocational colleges versus
Okay.
bachelor's and master's universities.
Okay.
So there is a kind of a stigma that revolves around these two kinds of different institutional places. So I'm not sure if you have any views on this. Like, why is there a stigma? Why do people tend to um, I guess praise, or like sometimes the industry even prefers those graduating from with a bachelor's degree instead of technical institutions.
Yeah, it really depends on. So people always have view, right? I'm sure when you and your friends are talking, you see almost every matter we have some views. Everybody has some view of, okay, well, Bill Gates said something. Is he right? Is Bill Gates right? Or some people like Bill Gates, some people like Steve Jobs, and there are always views, right? So everybody has views. Then but the different kinds of schools serve different purposes. Of course, if you want to work in the industry, then having some industry kind of training will get you there and will be more suitable for you. If you want to go work in the research type, then there are different kinds of training, right? Those are different trainings. So if you want to be a pilot, then you have one kind of training. But then if you want to be an architect, you have a different kind of training. Now, is architect school better than pilot school? Well, those are two different kinds of schools. It depends on what kind you like. Like, in old days, I was just reading this one book, say, for example, the artist Michelangelo, right? Well, what did he learn? He learned in doing apprentice with other artists. You go, other artists are doing work, and he sees that and he learns from that, right? So is that, well, that school is not available for us, right? So there's a different kinds of schools, and you learn different kinds of ways. Nobody can say, well, he's a graduate of that school. I know some people who were not, graduate of no school, but then still they learned a lot. Well, Bill Gates never graduated. Do you think he's not educated? I think he's educated. So yeah, there will always be some comparison, some opinions, but at the end of the day, for the students, you worry about, well, you have a beautiful campus, beautiful university. You learn your way. Some other people will learn their way, and you go ahead. You ignore the comments and stigma. You learn your own way and you grow yourself.
Right. But then again, in regards of especially the IT industry, there's a how do I say this? It's like at the end of the day, do you think the higher ups, some like the government, they also play a role in kind of breaking the stigma? Because sometimes we see, especially in the IT industry, as what I said just now, they prefer bachelor's degree and whatnot. So it widens the gap, and it's kind of yeah.
It depends on the job, though. So, for example, in my experience, when we are looking for um, designers, well, bachelor's degree does not matter much for me, right? You see, we are looking for a person who has creativity, who can understand, users, and who can understand people. So degree matters less. So if you have, good skill and you can communicate, that's good enough. But then when we are looking for programmers, some, good, computer science curriculum background students with good scores, they do well. But then we also make exceptions. We know that there are some people, for example, some people who work at our company, they don't have even computer science or IT degree. They have degree somewhere else, but they're doing much better than some of the top computer scientists in our company. So once you, well, sure, if you say, well, maybe when we have limited time, we sometimes screen, give some preference to people with, who went to good schools, who has good score. But then once you go past that, say after you get hired, then your performance matters more to determine how well you are doing, or whether you will get more assignment or more respect in the organization. So I think we can make choices of what kind of schools we go to, and then there will always be those opinions. There are some schools who are respected more than other schools, and but then it doesn't always give you that, like, okay, this school's graduates will always do better. Okay, I'm sure there are other schools who also have good graduates who do better in life.
So it's like, at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter where you graduate from, because once you get hired, it matters on your performance and your.
Yes. Initially, it matters a bit. So I would say, but at a later stage, it really doesn't matter.
Okay, that's actually very eye-opening to me, and I hope so for the other participants.
Especially in the tech sector. In the tech sector, performance matters much more. But I think not only tech sector. I think these days in this, like, the new world, I think this is becoming more of a performance driven, performance oriented than it used to be.
I see. All right. So now that so moving on to our second topic. All right. So this one is more on how the industry, especially in the IT and computer science, would have to, I guess, face events that are very unexpected. For example, like the COVID-19 pandemic right now, it's obviously affected a lot of industries in one way or another. So I would like to kind of know, did it have any strong effects on your company, especially? If you have any personal experience coming from this very unexpected event that has happened recently.
Yes. Definitely a big impact. See, this pandemic is so big, and it's so global in its nature, that it has impacted all of us in all sorts of ways, and including our company. So and some of this is well, of course, most of this is very challenging, but some of this also very encouraging. So for the challenging part, of course, we are passing very hard time. A lot of businesses, people are facing, difficulty. Economies are facing challenges. A lot of people are suffering. On the upside, since we are in you and the audience and us, we're in the IT industry, the technology is showing a lot of good sort of a strength to work. For example, when people, in our company, we have had a lockdown time where a lot of us worked from home. So most of the things, for the software development tech, actually, for the software part, our company performed more or have done better than the non-COVID time. So, we got more done. People were home. They didn't have much to do, so they worked. And, work, as you know, the computer science, when you're playing with, it's almost like work and play is the same thing when you're coding, when you are testing. So it's a lot of fun. A lot of the times, like, we did work with Google Meet or Zoom when we talked. And we do, a lot of those company calls even at midnight. So so that way, some part is working better. Even within the country, you can see that a lot of technology is being used. But when I am talking to you in this, my daughter, who is 11-year-old, is on the other room. She's having her dance class through Google Meet.
Online. Wow,
So
that's
think about it. Think about it. That's a
yeah.
dance class that's happening in Google Meet. Okay. And a lot of people in Bangladesh, where we find that earlier they liked physical meeting a lot. We have to go through traffic. Now they accept these digital meetings. So I think that way, IT is digital technologies are getting more popular. A lot of our, say we are working in digital payments. So a lot of payments earlier that was cash, now it's doing more and more digital. For COVID, for example, we have worked in Bangladesh for the poor people, where the government has disbursed money to 5 million poor families within the country. And we have sent the money to their mobile phone. They didn't even have bank account. We send the money to their mobile phone, they can withdraw it locally. So that way, we have shown that the technology can, be very helpful in this sort of a problems. So that way, I'd say it's kind of a challenging and opportunity at the same time.
So it's at the end of the day, the pandemic doesn't really have negative effects as how people would usually view it because of what you said about the technology being more useful. And even I think in the near future, even post pandemic, people would still prefer online interactions
Yes,
instead of face to face nowadays, right?
true. Yes, I think this technology adoption is getting faster. So a lot of people earlier, like who like some of us liked technology when we used technology, but others did not. But now more people are using it, and that's a good thing. So I think
Mhm.
for that. Um, so I wouldn't say like it didn't have bad effect, but I think like it has like some bad effect and some positive effect.
Mm. Oh, okay. So that's very interesting because, like, even now we can see that probably in the future, people would prefer online because it saves cost and time. There's a lot of positive implications as well when it comes to using technology and remote working environment. All right. So I think I we can now move on to the third topic. It's regarding artificial intelligence mostly and
Okay.
the future. The future of coding in the IT industry. So like nowadays we can see there's a lot of AI technology. So with the growth of such technology, traditional thinking people, most of them, they have developed this kind of fear that in the future they will be replaced by these new technologies. What is your view on that? Do you agree or disagree?
Uh, well, it's artificial intelligence. First of all, uh, it's a very interesting name. It's artificial, right? It's not intelligence. So yes, the artificial intelligence is bringing a lot of interesting ideas. It will be very helpful. and it will replace some jobs. But if it replaces some jobs, it will create more jobs. So, for example, driving. Okay, well, if it takes, driving problem, if it solves the driving problem, it gives you more time to do other things, right? And then I think there is always these opportunities of when you're solving a few problems. What's artificial intelligence good at? Like what people can do, well, it's kind of very well understood. That's when artificial intelligence comes. But it's not real intelligence. It's artificial, in the sense that there's always some work which will require more creativity, some work which will require more thinking, more improvement, and that's where humans can work. But I think we are in a, as the video has shown, this field is changing so fast that it's very difficult to say what will happen in next 10 years or so. The last 10 years have been so much changes, but if you go back, humans will remain humans. Humans, well, our human physiology will not change much. Humans will still require other humans as friends. They'll never be happy with computers being their friends. So I think from that point of view, artificial intelligence, I don't think will take over the humans. However, there's some concern about I do not understand some of these. Maybe you, the young people, understand those better. Is we are now so much into this computer system, like the virtual social network. That's not real, but we like to spend more time on that than time with our real friends. So when you said it's good that it will be more and more digital, actually I didn't like it. For young people, it should be more and more friends together than friends online. I think that's always important. And if as a generation we spend too much time online, then there may be problem of us maybe losing some skills of thinking and creating. So maybe we should be cautious about that. But other than that, rest assured, those AIs will not take your jobs. Even if it does take a few jobs, you, the young people, will create more jobs.
So it just shows how, especially the IT industry, it's always dynamically changing. So all the job opportunities will not stay as it is. With more technologies comes more, I guess, opportunities for, especially for the younger generation. So I also agree that we don't need to actually worry so much, because at the end of the day, even these AI technologies are made by humans, right?
Yes.
So so yeah, I guess we don't need to worry so much. All right. So next question. I feel like maybe if you have any suggestions, Doctor, for especially for the students in the IT industry, how do we make ourselves remain relevant, especially in this dynamically changing, um, especially in the job markets, I guess.
Okay.
So how do
Yes.
we
Uh,
stay on top to adapt?
okay. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
Actually, I think you already know for the most part. I think you know the answers. Maybe let me turn this around to you. What do you think? How do you keep relevant?
Well, just keep learning, I
Okay,
guess.
good,
Because technologies are always changing.
good,
So
good.
we are it depends on us ourselves like at the end of the day.
Yes. Um, yes. So for young people, I think, well, I think you already know the answer, as you said. Keep learning,
Mm-hmm.
right? Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe then you're not also saying something. Yeah, keep learning is a good thing, but what may be the problem of keeping learning? Why you are not always keep learning?
Um,
Maybe I can give you a hint. Maybe I can give you a hint. Yes, yes, distractions. So maybe I give you a hint. The I don't know. So see, we spend a lot of time these days, this generation, university students, in things where we're not learning a whole lot. We think we're learning, but we are not. So, for example, we see a lot of information. You see in the video, it was showing that we are creating content. That's that's more content this year than we created as a human generation in last 5,000 years. Now, all content is not learning. So say if you saw a lot of content, did you learn a lot? Maybe not. Content doesn't always mean, the lot of content doesn't always mean a lot of learning. So I think we should go back to the basics and see whether we are really learning. So let's say the contents that just come to you easy, many a times are not the good learning type. When you are actively looking for, say, okay, I want to know the answer of this question. How does this really work? When you are asking those questions, say, teacher say something, you go to YouTube and then you learn another way, that's fine. But you went to YouTube, then you are distracted by some other YouTube content, and now you have spent 2 hours in YouTube and you're not learning. So I think we all know the role of wise people is very difficult these days because Google is wiser.
mm,
So, so if you go looking for information, knowledge source, you can go there. But I think when you go there, looking for the right kind of information with the right kind of attention, we sometimes look at something and then we look. You see, a lot of young people, well, a lot of people, not young people, we don't have a lot of patience to learn deep. We go there, see a video, okay, done. Learning is a little deeper than that. So if you can really keep yourself updated, so if you are really worried about how can I keep myself updated, go there, do this Google search in your area, you will already know the answer. But you have to do that, and then it will tell you do 5 things, and you have to do that 5 things. Then you'll be okay.
all right. So at the end of the day, it just depends on us as well to
Yeah,
keep
for
ourselves.
students, it's pretty simple. Do more studies, less Facebook, okay?
Yeah. Okay. Right. You're absolutely correct. Okay. So now that that has
You can always say you are old. That's easy for you to say.
yeah, the gap between generations, right?
I
Okay,
know.
so um, so I think we can move on to the next topic. So, as someone who has experience, especially in the IT industry, with owning an IT firm and whatnot, what are some of the examples of kind of like the downside of IT? Are there any inefficiencies at all?
Oh, that's a good
Uh,
question.
we're going. Yeah.
That's a very interesting question. That's one of the most interesting questions I have found in this notes. You see, if there is an inefficiency, if you know a big inefficiency, please tell me, because that's where the biggest opportunity is. Okay.
When there is an inefficiency, it opens a path to kind
Exactly.
of find
Exactly.
solutions.
Exactly. Like you see,
Mhm.
say for example, so what does Uber do? Okay. Say Uber,
Uber, it's
when you
kind of
go there earlier, you go, you were looking for a taxi, you stand there, taxi, and then it's not very easy to find. You stand outside in the cold, and then after 10 minutes, you find the taxi. But what does Uber do? You have an app, you go there, and then before you come down the elevator, a taxi is waiting for you. So there was an efficiency problem in finding a taxi, right? Uber said, okay, well, I know the driver, I know the passenger, I can find, if they're close by, I'll just match them. So you found an inefficiency, use
and there's a
use a little bit of
solution.
a tech, found a solution, and that's a business. So if of course there are inefficiencies still, we have not invented all the things in the world, but then if you find a good one that can be made efficient, well, you have a good business idea.
I see. So it kind of just goes back to the very basic. In order to create something, it's always preferable if you have a problem. You- right, something like that. It's from my
Yeah, yeah,
understanding. Yeah.
exactly. Yes. So if you know a problem exists and you know that maybe new ways that problem can be solved. Like earlier, there was a problem that I and you could not meet very easily. There was
Mm-hmm.
telephone, I could get your phone number, I could pay a lot of money to talk to you.
Mm-hmm.
But now, you know, a short time, I'm almost talking to you face to face, right? So there was a problem and we found a solution for that. So
So,
now we have to worry, what are the other remaining problems? Like a lot of people think, or some people think, all the good problems are already solved, so there's nothing else to do. But you know what? Uh, Even 100 years ago, people thought all the problems are already solved.
mm-hmm.
50 years ago, people thought because they found whatever their problem they are looking at are solved. But then there are other people who found no new problems to solve. So there are always problems to solve. We still, there are many problems we didn't solve. Like, for example, why is education still so complex? Why a lot of people in the world do not still get education, right? Okay, we know that we have AI, but why cannot we, then just send the phone to teach everybody? Then everybody will be educated in the world. Everybody is not educated. There are still a lot of problems that we are not able to solve.
Mm-hmm.
And those are inefficiencies, and that's where, teaching teachers or training teachers is very difficult, because they don't know where to learn, and then students cannot learn because they don't get good teachers. Those are big problems in the world. So if you can find some inefficiencies that you think you can make efficient, well, those will be very good.
So at the end of the day, you have to look at these inefficiencies uh, kind of in the bigger picture or in a positive way where you can find solutions to solve them.
Yeah, so
Mm.
look at the inefficiencies and look at the ones that maybe you have some idea to solve. Then yes, that's very good. Not everything can be
Okay.
solved right away, right? So it needs to be step by step. So once maybe you have always to use the knowledge today and think about maybe the knowledge that is coming tomorrow, the tools that's coming tomorrow to solve the problem. Uh, so because if there was no smartphone, Uber could not be founded, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
you needed some technology to live on that. Now that so you have to think, okay, now that we can do all of this, can we also solve this problem?
I see. Okay, that makes a lot of sense actually. It's just very simple without we don't
Yeah,
have to, yeah, at the end of the
I
day.
think so. I think, at the end, it's what it comes down to.
Mhm. All right. So you mentioned just now one of the problems, especially about education, why can't we provide phones for everyone so that everyone can be educated? That has me thinking about internet in
Yeah.
itself. So, yeah. So like water and electricity, they're kind of public utilities that are basically basic needs of human beings right now. But with the creation of internet, it kind of becomes also a basic necessity, especially nowadays, especially now that we're facing this pandemic. Do you think the internet should be also regarded as a basic necessity, and also and so like at I'm sorry, so like the government has to take steps into making it a basic necessity for humans in general? I'm not sure if you
Mm.
understand. Sorry.
I understand your question.
Yeah.
Uh, but let me, so, okay. So basic necessity, you put two terms there, like basic and
Yeah.
necessity, right? So is internet basic necessity? No. It's very good.
But it is a
It's very
necessity.
good. I think
Mm-hmm.
it's a big part of our life. It's very
Mm-hmm.
important of our lifestyle today, but it's not necessity. You see, you compare it to water. So I know if I ask you this question, how long can you survive without water? How long can you survive without internet? I know it's a very difficult question because you think both are necessity. I do not think so. So you see, so we have some thinking as well, like that's more of a, so water is a necessity. Internet is a learned thirst. Water is real thirst. So now, okay, I understand it's important. It's kind of, I would say, this is basic, but I wouldn't say necessity. But is it? But it's almost like, I think, because internet gives you more information, so it's a, you can say it should be considered as a basic right. Yes, I agree with that. Internet can be considered basic right, because if you have internet, you have knowledge, or access to knowledge, you can do a lot of things. So from the basic right point of view, it's considered, it's internet is like roads. It's not like water. It's like roads. Roads, we should have good roads. We should have good internet. It's like good infrastructure. Yes, we should have that. And should government do it? Yes. If there is no internet, government should give internet there for areas where, like roads. Everybody should have good roads, right? So everybody should have good internet. Now, exactly how that will be funny. Should government be running the internet? Well, government in many cases are running the roads, and some cases they're leasing the roads. Internet is the same thing. Government usually was not running internet, but I don't think government needs to run more. Government should just make sure that it's available for everybody, and it's
Mm-hmm.
available at fair price.
Mm-hmm.
So from that point of view, yes, I think in Bangladesh, for example, they have given a lot of emphasis on internet, a lot of emphasis on digital technologies. So even in the rural areas, they're making infrastructure, like they're making roads, they're making internet. So that way, we do feel that it's important. And for the areas where there is internet, people have better communication, better, and they know more. And when you know more, then you can maybe make more money, or can be more aware to send your children to school. And I think life has a good chance of improving. But however,
Mm-hmm.
internet also has a lot of bad things. We should worry about that as well when we give internet. And that's not very easy, because you see, we so maybe it's a, maybe it's 90% good and 10% bad, but that 10% bad is also something you have to worry about, right?
Yeah, like I guess when it comes to the internet, it also touches the privacy and security concerns.
Very much
Yeah.
so. Yes,
Mhm.
privacy concern, security concern, those are very important thing. You see, I have this other Facebook concern. Okay, and that's like, Facebook is the name, social network, all those people post very shiny pictures, and that make other people jealous and unhappy. Do you know about that?
Psychological
Yes,
side.
because
Mm.
because you see, we can say we all are people. We are never jealous of other people, but it's not true. Okay, so as soon
Mhm.
as a friend posts a good picture somewhere, we feel like we have to post another good picture, right? And is that a good thing? I don't know. So I think it's an important study one should have. Internet is making, okay, internet is making more time. It makes our communication easier. Does it make us happier? We don't know really, do we? So it happened so fast in last maybe 20 years. Um, we still do not know. We still do not know, what are the bad effects of internet. Nobody did any test. We are testing the COVID um, um, like the injections, but vaccines, but nobody tested internet. So we
Mm.
should do test of internet, and we hear about a lot of those things, like the young people having some issues, and then yes, so as we should worry about those. Like when we are making roads, we should have laws like people should not be doing fast driving. I don't know what should be the rules for internet, but there should be rules.
Mm.
There should be rules of how much you know. I really do not know. That's one
Mhm.
problem we have not solved. That's why
Mhm.
I don't know. Maybe you should solve that problem. How do we take the good of internet and do not take the bad of internet? I hear a lot of kids today, they have online classes, right? And the school kids, when they have online classes, they're playing video on the other screen.
Mm.
They are playing games in the other screen. See, in the real class, you cannot do that. So from the fun point of view, this is good for the kids. From the education point of view, is this good for the kids? How do you solve that problem?
Mm. So, just now you also mentioned about the rules and regulations when it comes to using internet, right? Especially regarding privacy and security. Do you think the government plays a role in ensuring in I think establishing these rules and regulations to avoid such problems to arise, or does it depend on companies, especially when it comes to securing their privacy and security reasons? Like, for example, Google Meet, you know, regulations for school kids, maybe they can come up with. So does it depend on the company itself or the government of a certain country, place, or whatever?
It's a very difficult question.
Yeah.
Very difficult question because um, say say first of all, okay, it's for kids we know it starts with parents. That's very easy, right? For adults, well, adults can say, okay, well, I do whatever I like. If I like
Mhm.
Facebook, I do Facebook. But then there are laws that you cannot use bad stuff, right? So why cannot we say you cannot use too much Facebook? Okay, now the problem is, these things don't have boundary. As I said, in 20 years, we have done so much. We do not know how to control it. We do not know what's the bad effect. If you don't know what's the bad effect, how can you regulate, right? The other thing is these companies are so powerful, so much powerful, that they are more powerful than any government in the world.
Mhm.
And that way, you wish that maybe the government will control them, but they're more powerful than any government. So I do not know. And maybe, for saying these things, these companies will now be looking for me. So why did you say that online?
Ah,
But I think this is a problem that we have not solved. So this is again one of those inefficiency lists. If you can solve this problem, and then say, okay, well, we found a good way, and then maybe make some technology, and then give the government some technology. Say, okay, well, this is how, and give the parents some technology. Even kids, like you see, sometimes when I was a student, I like spending time with friends, goofing around, right? Then I regret it. You have something like that sometimes? Like you wanted to study, but then
yeah,
you were distracted, and then you are sorry.
yeah,
So then I used to
a lot of
call
time.
my mom, say, well, you please tell me when to stop. And then she used to help me. You see, usually when moms say, well, stop it, I don't like it. But then when I needed help, I asked my mom to help me. Okay, now you can have an app to help you if you want to listen to it. So you see, there are some apps who is distracting you. There could be other app which may be helping you, but nobody is making those apps. You know why? Because those apps don't make money. The distraction app makes a lot of money. And maybe government can sponsor in building those apps. Here is another good idea for you. So make a good app for kids that's good for the kids, and then sell this to the government. So these apps can help, people making their time to be more efficient. Maybe.
Mm. So just now you also mentioned about the power dynamic of these companies and the government. The difference is very stark nowadays. So can you explain more, like what are your further views on this different power dynamic?
Well, these companies, you have seen in the video, right?
Mm-hmm.
Facebook, in the number of people, is the third largest country in the world.
Yeah.
From the opinion point of view, they are much more powerful than that because they are talking to these people all the time. What if they're
Mm-hmm.
giving you some, hidden messages somewhere that you do not know? And there are lots of, artificial intelligence. Well, artificial intelligence, that's good for them to sell something that may not be good for you because you might be buying something that you didn't need, that's not really basic necessary, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how you deal with it, we really do not know. But what we know is these companies are very big, very powerful. So the governments around the world should really, try to invest more to think how to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end, you see, these companies are bigger than any government, but it's not bigger than all governments together. And so I think, maybe if we can find some good way to understand what are the goods and what are the bads, and we can encourage the good and reduce the effect of the bad, that will be a good thing. But we do not know enough to understand what are those boundaries. We do not know enough to really solve these problems. These are complex problems.
Mm-hmm. So it will
And
allow
complex problems, yeah.
for more. We have to keep on doing researches and whatnot
Yes,
to come up with
yes. The
solutions. Yeah.
universities maybe can do that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. This discussion is getting very complex for some reason.
I'm just I'm just barely following the the questions. Okay, let's try to make it.
Okay.
Okay, okay. So, okay, let's just move on from these very complex. Let's
Okay.
focus on your insight as someone in the IT industry. Okay.
Okay.
Have you noticed any general difference in, especially in the approach of problem solving from people in kind of the IT industry and also people in the creative industry? Like just now, you also mentioned about even though we're IT people in the IT industry, we also should think like artists. So, are there any major differences in the way we solve problems between these two very stark, different, I guess you can say,
Yes.
not, yeah, I'm sorry.
Yes. Very much so. I I I read a book. Actually, I didn't read the whole book. I read part of the book, so I'm a bit dangerous because I didn't read the whole book. There's this four types of people that they say it's kind of important for any creative work, innovative work. They call this number one is artist. Unfortunately, it's not IT people. It says artist, number one. Number two is engineer. Number two is athlete. Number number three is athlete. Number four is sage. Sage. So these
See.
four types, they say, well, you need these four types. Artists who can create anything, they will, think about, uh, like bring something from the air. Nothing was there, they're designing something, okay? That's artist. Artists, they don't care. They just draw whatever. Flying cars, or, they make, like they bring cloud to your home, whatever. Engineers, on the other hand, are more, ground based. They always keep their feet on the ground. They build things. They say, okay, well, can you build it? Does it work? Will it break? How long does it work? What are the problems? So artists can draw whatever, but we cannot make it. So and then there are athletes. These are the winning types. They sell. They want to sell every day. They sell something. Oh, I'm happy. I sold something today. I sold something. They want to sell every day. They want to win every day. That's the athlete type. They will just, And then there's a sage type. Sage is like, they're thinking about, okay, well, is it a good thing? Is it good for me? Good for everybody? Good for society? Good for country? Is it good for long term? So what I learned is that you need all these different kinds of people when you are working together and bringing different viewpoints, and they should fight. They should fight a lot. And when they fight, you don't want to stop the fight. Just let them fight, okay? And then when they fight, and then they find some solution, maybe, as you take some of the good ideas from the artist, and then also make it something implementable, like the engineers say, and then, do something everyday win by the athlete, but also do some long-term thinking like the sage. Then you have covered all those things.
Mhm.
So you should understand these different aspects, and also you should put the different people of different groups into sort of a thinking together like that. So yes, when there are some engineers who cannot understand this, why is this artist drawing like that? Yes, of course, you make sure that they talk and they understand. But I also like the engineers who can think like a little bit like artists who can think like the pains of engineers, and then so that way, once you understand each other a little bit better, that's when you also become a good engineer by understanding the artist better. You also become a good sage by understanding the a little bit better. And that's something that for you, so when you are in the class, you are learning this computer software life cycle design. Yeah, that's when you're learning engineering. And then bring back, and then when you're in a cafeteria with your artist and athlete friends, then you're thinking, oh, okay, I'm thinking that way, they're thinking that way, she's thinking that way. And then that's where learning is broader. And that's also very, very important. And I think, in the creative world, when you're solving big problems, you need all of these characters. Sometimes,
So
mix of these characters within the same person.
Mhm. So like at the end of the day, to approach a problem is not, there isn't a solid way. There's always different inputs are always better, especially within an organization. I mean, if
Yes.
we can even see in group discussions, obviously it still applies to when we go out into the industry. Okay.
Oh, yes. Yes, of course.
Mhm.
It's very, very important.
All right. So I guess that's all from the list of questions we have. I'm going to open the floor now for all our participants. If they have any questions to ask Dr. Khan, you guys can ask on the chat or just open your mic. Is it okay if we just open the floor to the questions? Q&A session, Doctor? Okay, we're going to open the floor to Q&A session.
Okay, sure. Yes,
All
yes,
right.
of course.
Yeah. So if any of
As
the participants have any questions, you guys can ask. Oh, okay. We have one.
I have a question.
Okay. Go on, brother.
Okay, do you think someone who refuse to use the technology is backward? Like for example, my ustaz doesn't have a smartphone like all of us do. The only way to contact him is through call and traditional SMS. If I'm not mistaken, he did it for health purposes, like maybe the radiation from the phone or maybe the screen, it will hurt the eye. So what do you think? Do you think someone who refused to use the technology is backward? Thank you.
No, I do not think so. For the health radiation or whatever reason, as a lot of our discussion today said, if that person is using call and SMS, they are already using a lot of technology. So, so from that point of view, I have to admit, I do not use Facebook myself. Am I backward? Maybe you may think so, but I do not use it because I find this. I do use a lot of technology. Like I use Skype a lot. I use email a lot. I use WhatsApp a little bit. So if you don't need it, you see, you can still be very productive. You can still be very happy. So technology use, if you have basic phone, I think you already have a lot of technology there. So more technology does not make you happier. If you don't need it, perhaps it is good not to use too much technology.
Does that answer your question, brother, or do you have further questions?
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so any other questions from the floor? We have one in the chat box.
Okay.
Can you see the chat box, Otta?
Yes. So, what are the recent development of blockchain technology in Malaysia? Ooh, are there any ways to get involved in it, Malaysia? Thank you in advance. I don't know a lot of the blockchain technology issues in Malaysia, but I'm sure if I did the same search in the Google, you'll find quite a bit. There are a lot of online material in this technology, but I cannot answer more on that because I'm not from Malaysia and I know a little bit about blockchain technology. I don't use a lot of it, but I know it's a good technology.
Okay. So any other questions from?
Assalamualaikum. I have a question.
Okay. Okay. We have two people. Maybe Nazmi Ahmad can ask first, then Ahmad Murshid.
All right. Thank you very much.
Eh.
Good evening, doctor.
Sorry, Muhammad Nazmus. Okay. Sure.
Yes. My question is regarding the first magnet topic of today. It's gap between education system and the industrial requirement. So, do you suggest us to join into industry or factories for experience after our undergraduate? or you suggest us to pursue our master's or higher degree first, then to the industries?
The experience early is always a good idea. So if you have an opportunity to even participate in some industry experience, even when we are doing undergrad, that's a good thing. But if you from the undergrad and then go to industry and then go for some further education, I think is a good combination. I have seen that work quite well. But some people who want to fast track towards PhD, they may skip that. But for other reasons, I find having some industry experience after the first degree gives you broader perspective. So when you come back to the university, you have more questions that you can explore deeper and broader.
All right. Thank you very much, Doctor.
Thank you.
Okay, next question.
So my question is not really regarding this whole topic. It's just actually regarding you, Doctor, being the CEO of the company, being a CEO of a company. I don't usually get to talk to people in such position. So now that I get the chance to ask questions to someone like this, so here it is. So my question is, since you're a CEO of a company, what's the hardest thing about being a CEO?
Whoa. Hardest thing of being a CEO. Okay. The hardest thing. Okay. Sometimes as CEO, you have to take decisions that impact sort of other people in a negative way. For me, that's the hardest one. You see, when you're a CEO, you deal with a lot of people, you live with the companies. Like you see, when things are going good, that's okay. But when things are hard, then sometimes you have to take hard decisions, and decisions that people do not like for the organization. That's hard for me because, like as a person, I feel bad, but as a CEO, I have to do it.
Right. To continue that question, what is the thing that motivates you every day?
Oh, that's a very good question. Thank you. So what motivates me is being able to sort of make difference by using my knowledge, by using my sort of a position. So for example, like, when we are, I told you about one example of during the COVID, a lot of people are, suffering, a lot of people lost their job. And then we in Bangladesh were able to create a situation where we have found 5 million families, and we have sent 2,500 taka to each of them through their phone. So we have solved, we kind of, did all the hard, work, data work to be able to do that. So when you can use technology, like the telephone technology, the available technology, telephone and other technologies, to solve real human problem, when we help people, that is really, really, very fulfilling, very satisfying. So when you can use what you have learned to help, people in their life, when you can help a lot of people in their life, that's very motivating for me.
Great. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you.
So there's another question in the chat box.
Okay. Higher up a person goes in a software company, the more managerial their duties become. So if one has a target to eventually be the management position of a software company, does having purely technical background useful, or is it better to have managerial focus during studies? Well, yes, I think we have talked about let's say when you want to go, when people go higher or managerial. So whenever we say higher, it always means working with people, managing people, communication skills, management skills. Those become quite important. Now, whether you have to do it, if you while you're in school, that doesn't matter. As long as you're open to learn them, that's what matters. Say you don't have to make a decision today. If you like something, keep doing something. Your path could be, becoming the big scientist, where you invent something and you that changes life, or maybe have a very strong patent. That's very helpful. But also, if you want to go, if you know that you want to go to management, then those non-technical skills like management skill, communication skill is very important. And you can do it using courses. You can also do it using other organizations, like this wonderful program arranged by this student society. And the way this sort of experience is also very helpful, like what Sayoni has done so far. Wonderful work. So I think having this sort of the fact that you care about this, if you try to practice some of those and learn some of those in some, I think that will be helpful for later management work.
Do you have any other questions from
I have.
Okay.
Assalamualaikum, Doctor. Good evening. Good evening to everyone. Doctor, I have a question to you. As
Yes.
we are from ICT background, in our university, we have two options to do our specialization, AI and BI. So business intelligence and artificial intelligence. So if how you motivate someone, if anyone take either AI or BI, if students want to continue their postgraduate, or undergraduate is enough to join the industry if they want to success in the industry.
Okay.
And one more thing, if they want to continue their post-graduation and want to become academician, they need for postgraduate, or undergraduate is enough to join the industry.
Okay. First of all, you said AI or BI. I like RI. RI is called real intelligence. Okay. That's the or OI, original intelligence. You see, you can learn, AI or BI as and when you need, if you learn the fundamentals, and if you learn how to learn, if you learn how to think, and if you learn how to create, right? So, how many courses do you need to learn, AI? 1 or 2 courses. How many for BI? Again, 1 or 2 courses. That doesn't make a big change for you, coming to the industry. But have you learned the fundamentals with care? And can you, are you flexible enough? Are you open, kind of in a growth, in your mind, can you grow to learn this today and the other thing? For the industry, undergrad is enough? Yes, I think so. For the industry, for the most part, undergrad is enough. And well, postgraduate, can be helpful in certain specific areas. But for the most part, undergrad is good enough for the industry.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you.
Do we have any other questions?
Yes, I have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
When we learn to code or when we use technologies like programming languages and libraries, we get very excited by the latest ones. Every time there's new programming libraries or programming languages coming out, we get very excited. But when you do a real project, you have to take other pragmatic things into consideration. So what approach do your company take when planning a brand new project about how to strike the right balance to use the dependability of tried and true technologies and also some of the game changing or more exciting aspect of the cutting edge or experimental technologies? How do you strike the balance between these two?
Well, I think within your question, there are already a lot of hints. When you're working in an industry, you have to be pragmatic. For example, if there is something brand new project, then you can go doing some research, which if there are new tools that will be more helpful for you, and then you can come and within that group, if you convince the group members, then you go move to the new technology that you want. These decisions are usually taken within that group. Although I'm a technical person by background, I don't always get involved in the details of this sort of a thing in every group of the company. We have our technical managers and senior people working with them, and when there are new ideas of using new technologies, they decide on that. Sometimes we get, we say, well, what are the pros and cons? Is it suitable for us? Sometimes you have something that's already using some technology. So if you want to kind of migrate to another technology, then, those are decided on its own merit at that time. So there's no hard and fast rule for that. Of course, it's the industry, and there is a continuity that's important. If there's a brand new technology that nobody knows, we don't want to use that new technology today, because if only 2 engineers know that and other 30 engineers don't, then we have a problem, right? So you want to make sure that something that can be used by a lot of people, at least learned easily by a lot of people, or at least enough people who care. So I think the being pragmatic, the word that you have used here already gives a lot of hint of how usually companies do it. But then if you are a company who is in the business of designing and developing new technologies all the time, then you can have all the fun in the world. But universities have more freedom on working on these things.
Okay, thank you, Doctor.
Thank you.
Any other questions before we end our event for tonight? Okay. So I take it that there are no more questions. Any other last words before we close our event for tonight, Doctor?
Yes.
Any words of advice, maybe?
Oh, advice. First of all, thank you very, very much. It's a wonderful opportunity to talk to young people. I know it's like past 10 p.m. in Malaysia, and still 28 people are there. It's good that you have very active participation in this. So for I'm a bit older generation, but it's good to have young people interested to hear some of our experiences. So I really appreciate that. I think for young people, this is a wonderful time to be young. There are a lot of cool things happening, lots of learning opportunities, and I'm sure future is very strong, although with some problems, but keep your eyes open, try to grow every bit. Don't get yourself stuck in some like so-called box. And I wish all of you sort of a wonderful learning experience. And once again, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to come speak to you in this webinar.
Also, thank you, Doctor, for taking the time out of your day to help us host this event. And thank you for your wise words and all the input that you have given us tonight. So before we really end our session, I would like to remind everyone to fill in the evaluation form that is in the chat box. What are your feedbacks on this program? And maybe we can have a similar one in the near future, and perhaps invite more speakers so Doctor can have more interactions and more ideas. Okay, so with that, I would like to end this session with Tasbih Kafara and Surah Al-As. Thank you so much, Doctor, for your time.
Thank
and
you.
your
Thanks a
Okay.
lot. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you so much, Doctor.
Bye.